Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. So now guys, we're still with the Edo State election, the reaction to this ground shaking victory by Obaseki, which should not be ground shaking by the way, because it's the incumbent, but of course the powers that are weighing against him, or that were weighing against him, makes it a ground shaking victory. So the reactions are still coming in thick and fast, especially from the great and not so good. So I am going to sequence the reactions of known names that you're familiar with in this video. Mixed reactions, as guys I bring you this. Tinubu speaks on alleged reaction to Obaseki's victory over Ize Iyamu. So we go to the Bullion Van Man of Lagos State first to kick this off and to see what he has to say about what's just happened. Tinubu speaks on alleged reaction to Obaseki's victory over Ize Iyamu. So now let's now see what this guy has to say. Bola Tinubu, the national leader of the All Progressive Congress APC, on Monday distanced himself from reactions attributed to him on the just concluded governorship election in Edo State. A statement attributed to Tinubu had surfaced on social media regarding the just concluded election. The statement quoted the former Lagos State governor as saying APC's defeat was an indication that members of the party were not gods. He was, however, quoted as saying the extent the People's Democratic Party PDP went in ensuring their victory was an indication that APC was close to being gods. However, Tinubu dismissed the statement, stressing that it was not from him. Tinubu spokesman Tunde Rahman confirmed this in a press release. Rahman, who described the statement as fake, said the APC national leader would make an extended statement at the right time. According to Rahman, please disregard any post to the effect that His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, so I don't know what excellency he is because he's not occupying any elective position, and they usually use that reference rather to refer to somebody in an elected position, but nevertheless, please disregard any post to the effect that His Excellency Asiwaju Bola Tinubu has spoken on the Edo elections. The said statement is a fake one. It is the antics of social media merchants of fake and unsubstantiated statements. It did not come from Asiwaju. Those who know Asiwaju would recall that it is not in his character to rush to issue statements. At the appropriate time, His Excellency Asiwaju will speak on Edo election. Thank you. So that is what Tinubu has to say, distancing himself from any statement that is purportedly emanating from him, and he would do that, you see, because everybody wants to distance themselves as far away from defeat as possible. So of course, had their man Ize Iyamu won, he would have been the first person in front of all of the cameras in Nigeria, boasting and bragging and patting himself on the back that the victory was entirely down to him. But now, of course, having taken a whipping in Edo State, he's now running away. This guy will not make a statement. Maybe in 6-7 months time he will just say something casually, but definitely you will not be hearing from him anymore on this. I'm almost certain of that. So we go on to the next commentator, and this headline now is coming from Kwakwanzo, and here it is. Kwakwanzo reveals implications of Obaseki victory. So Kwakwanzo, of course, a crossover person from APC to PDP. He, of course, tried to hold on to Kano State, but it was rigged out. He of course, I mean, he wasn't running, but he had his man running because he'd already served 2 terms. Anyway, again, the headline, Kwakwanzo reveals implications of Obaseki victory. So now let's now see what Kwakwanzo has to say. Former Kano Governor Rabiu Kwakwanzo has congratulated Governor Godwin Obaseki for emerging victorious in the just concluded Edo State governorship election. Kwakwanzo, in a series of tweets on Monday, said Obaseki's victory reflected the true choice of the people. I am especially congratulating the Edo people for their foresight in re-electing their hardworking and effective governor, Godwin Obaseki, at Governor Obaseki to continue with the excellent work of developing Edo State. I also congratulate His Excellency Governor Obaseki over this well-deserved victory. You worked very hard for the people of Edo State, and they have reciprocated by coming out in droves, not only to cast their vote for you, but also to defend their votes and ensure that the multitude of election riggers mobilized by agents of doom from different states to steal the Edo State election were made ineffective. Without a doubt, our victory in Edo State was hugely facilitated by the outstanding commitment, resilience, courage, and doggedness of the chairman of our campaign council, His Excellency Yemsem Wike of Rivers State, and the entire member of the campaign council, including all PDP governors. I commend you all as we celebrate the success for democracy in Nigeria. Kwakwanzo also commended representatives of the international community in Nigeria, especially the United States Embassy in Nigeria and the United Kingdom Embassy in Nigeria, for their timely advice to merchants of election malpractice and perpetrators of electoral violence. Your advisory to the election riggers and promoters of election violence to know that there will be consequences beyond the borders of Nigeria for their ignominious action was very effective. We thank you for your interest in deepening democracy in our country. There is no gainsaying that the Edo victory is a victory for our great party, the PDP. I therefore congratulate our amiable chairman, Uche Secondos, and his entire team. This success is a testimony to your dexterity, political savvy, and focused leadership. Congratulations. So this is now a guy just luxuriating in it. He's just is enjoying it, and a lot of them, of course, will come out to make statements regarding this particular victory. One, to align their name with the victory, and again to flash their names up in the political space, especially within their own party. So here he is again saying, I am still here and I am associating with what is going on. So just to maintain his relevance, really. So it's a maintain his relevance sort of a statement that you are getting from Kwakwanzo. So on to the next we go, and we go to Kaduna State. I don't understand why APC was defeated in Edo State. So this is now El Rufai, our short little man from Kaduna State, the man that spends 400,000 naira on each patient for C19, even though there's no real record of C19 in Kaduna State. Again, the headline, I don't understand why APC was defeated in Edo, a headline attributed to El Rufai. So now let's now see what the demigod of Kaduna has to say. Kaduna State Governor Nasir El Rufai has said that he was optimistic up to 3 weeks ago that his party, the All Progressive Congress, would win the Edo State governorship election. El Rufai on Monday expressed shock at the election result because, according to him, opinion polls before the election indicated a win for the APC and its candidate, Osage Iyamu. The governor, who spoke on Monday morning whilst featuring on Channels Television, said the election was reasonably decent. He said, we, APC, would have loved to win, and quite frankly, I was optimistic up to 3 weeks ago. The polls indicated that we were going to win. I don't know what happened in the last 3 weeks of the campaign. As you know, a large number of voters make up their minds in the last 2 weeks of the election. Many voters decided no matter what happens, this is how I am going to vote, but most people want to wait and make up their mind in the last 2 weeks. 3 weeks ago, the polls clearly showed that APC was going to win, but the result came out differently from what we expected. Obaseki has won. That is it. You can't go into an election without the possibility of losing. The election was reasonably decent. we were all worried about violence, but there was very little violence or none at all. So he's now making conciliatory noises. Of course, they're surprised to lose. And by the way, the reason why they did lose that election was because that election was reasonably free and fair. And the reason why that election was reasonably free and fair was because the Americans and the British, they put a sharp focus on that election, and they made a lot of noise in the build up to that election that, look, we will not allow this. If you do this time around, woe betide you, we will come for you in all ways possible. They are saying they will seize their assets in the United Kingdom, they will lock them down out of the United States, and they will make life hell for them. The United Kingdom said they will take them to international courts. So they just made it clear that, look, we will not allow this anymore. And that is really the underpinning that led to that almost free-ish, I should say. There's no such thing as a free election in Nigeria with the vote buying and everything, but a reasonable election that represented the will of the people. Because if they were left to their own devices, then we already know what would happen. They would intimidate and beat people out of the polling booths and loot the boxes and just write, the usual brutish sort of system that the Malam Buhari is running. So it is really the credit, and Kwakwanzo was right, the credit for this election should really go to Britain and the United States. So let's carry on, and let's capture a couple more, or at least one more reaction. So now we're going to IPOB Central this time around, and we're going to the lead person there, Nnamdi Kanu. Of course, I bring you this. Edo election, Nnamdi Kanu reveals those responsible for Obaseki's victory. So even without reading this, I'm already expecting that Nnamdi Kanu will be associating his name as being responsible for the victory or his movement, but I'm preempting him. Again, the headline, Edo elections, Nnamdi Kanu reveals those responsible for Obaseki's victory. So now let's now see what the Alpha One of the IPOB movement has to say. Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has explained why Saturday's election in Edo State was judged free and fair. Incumbent Governor Godwin Obaseki returned elected on Saturday, defeating Pastor Osage Iyamo of the All Progressive Congress, APC. Kanu believes a free and fair election in Edo State became possible because of the threat of visa ban recently made by the United States Ambassador to Nigeria, Mary Beth Leonard. Last Monday, the U.S. government announced the ban on some Nigerians who undermined the country's democracy for involving in election rigging. And displaying Mrs. Leonard's picture on his Facebook page, the IPOB leader said, "This is the courageous U.S. ambassador to Nigeria that delivered the first truly free and fair election in the history of Nigeria in Edo State yesterday, something the EU and UK have failed to do in over 60 years. This amazing woman imposed an ordinary visa ban on perennial election riggers, and they quickly behaved themselves. Add a bit of Nyemsum Wike and the tenacity of Igodo Migodo, and you have the perfect result." So yes, I apologize to Nnamdi Kanu a little bit. I thought he would start patting himself on the back again with the usual Nzobu, but he's absolutely correct, of course, because I did say this just prior to now getting to his contribution, that the credit for this election is entirely, if not at least 80% or at least a good 65 to 80% of the credit for the election that they had in Edo State. One, for the reasonably low violence, if any at all, because the headlines are not dominated by violence, which is of course the sort of politics that Oshiomhole plays, and the headlines were not really dominated by ballot snatching, which is of course the politics of Nigeria, and the headlines were not really dominated by military security structure brutality, which is, of course, the sort of politics that Nigeria plays, and all of these things were removed by that threat of visa ban that the Americans and latterly the British put in place. So with all of these people now thinking that the bulk of their money are in the international shores and the British and the Americans control the international financing, and they of course love to live, really, not even to vacation, but to live in the United States and the United Kingdom and Dubai. So if you are looking for any Nigerian politician, if they are out of office, then you are most likely to find them in any of those three countries: the United States, the United Kingdom, or Dubai. Some of them live in Saudi Arabia, the more religious ones, especially the northern ones. So those are the countries where they park their money. They almost 80% of them park their monies in the United States, the United Kingdoms, and all these offshore islands. But really, a lot of their assets are in the United States and the United Kingdom. So that visa ban was a real potent threat, and they had to recoil for a moment. Now, that threat might not be so effective in Ondo State, which is coming up next month, because they've had this period to strategize on what to do or who to pay off. But that visa ban threat paused them, because the threat just came out a week or so to the election, enough time to have an impact, but not enough time for them to figure out a reaction to it. So they had to pull back and let that Edo State election run to the will of the people, and the will of the people has now played out. But then, of course, we know that there's going to be comebacks, and they are going to re-strategize, and how they re-strategize is likely to start playing out in Ondo State. Conversations in the comment section. You've now heard the reactions of 3 or 4 prominent people. I say prominent, or perhaps notorious should be the more apt term, but you've certainly heard the opinions of 3 or 4 well-known Nigerians. I should say that is more irrefutable. So 3 or 4 opinions of well-known Nigerians. Now, what is your opinion? This is really where the question is. Come share them with me in the comment section. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Click on like as well, because that helps with the YouTube algorithm. Once you've done all the clickings, come join me in the comment section. Come tell me what you're making of this mixed reaction that you have heard. So I'll leave you here. Carry this conversation on with you in the comment section. But here I say peace.